What happens when you take a journey into space to recruit other rebellious individuals in order to help you fight against an intergalactic empire? Spaceballs. Welcome back, everybody. Today we are talking about Rebel Moon Part 1, directed by Zack Snyder, which follows Korra, a woman on the run hiding out on a peaceful moon colony. But when the planet is threatened by the intergalactic empire known as the Mother World, she must band together a group of rebels to fight against them. Well, it's basically Zack Snyder's attempt at Star Wars, and that's actually what it was supposed to be. So, for those of you who don't know, a couple years ago, Disney was looking for new directors to direct a Star Wars film, and well, Zack Snyder had pitched them this rated R Star Wars movie, and they said, no, we're good. And then Netflix was like, hey, we want to make your movie, except it's not Star Wars, but it is Star Wars, and it can't be rated R, it has to be PG-13. Oh, and then he made the movie, and they were like, well, it's too long, now it's 2 parts. And that's where we're at today, Rebel Moon Part 1. And well, the film is nothing short of a mixed bag. I'm gonna be very honest here. If you've Googled this movie, you know that the reviews are less than stellar. Are they for good reason? Well, no. To be honest, the film's not as bad as people, or critics, I should be more specific, as critics put it out to be. It's just not a complete movie. As I mentioned, this is a 2-part movie, and you can definitely tell. I mean, I guess my biggest complaint in that regard is the film just feels so dragged out. There's a whole lot of exposition, a whole lot of slow motion, a whole lot of cuts. The way I see it, right? Imagine you record for 6 hours, right? Then, wait, no, that doesn't make sense. If it's a 3.5, say you record for 7 hours, right? And then you make a film that ends up being 4 hours long. Well, then Netflix goes, hey, that's too long, cut that in half. So now you have 2 2-hour-long movies. But 2 hours isn't enough for one movie, so then you gotta fluff it up more. That's basically what happens. I think you shave off 20 to 30 minutes off this movie, and the pacing goes a whole lot better. Now, why they didn't just release the full movie just right off the gate is beyond me. But I digress. And I think that's just one thing that people fail to acknowledge when talking about this film and critiquing it, is the fact that it is part of a bigger picture. It's clear by the end of the movie that it's not the end of the movie. You can tell that there is so much more left, and there's a lot of, plot threads not finished and things of that nature. But like I said, the movie suffers because of it. We end up with a film that just feels so much longer than 2 hours. I'm accustomed to watching long films, but God, did this feel slow. I feel like I spent so much of my life watching this film only to realize, hey, it's only been 2 hours and 15 minutes. But what can you do about it afterwards, right? You're just like, well, there's my life. It's gone. Another thing I didn't really like too much about the film was the way the narrative in this world was told. Obviously, it's supposed to be a Star Wars world, right? But they do their best attempt at trying to explain the lore behind this world. Except the issue is, show us, don't just tell us. The film has a big issue with just telling you everything and then also showing it to you. It's better if you just show it to us, because then we can see it. We don't have to hear it as it's happening. Because, I mean, and it sucks, because then you have other things that we should also be focusing on that you don't get to. There's a lot of interesting lore in this other world itself, right? Titus's backstory, the death of the princess, the robots, Korra's backstory even. But they talk about it so much, and even when they're showing these flashbacks, they're still talking about it as if we cannot see it right there. It's like, dude, just let us breathe, man. Just, if you're gonna do, you can. Oh my lord, I don't even know what more to say to that. Now, with that being said, I do think this has a very good cast. I think Korra, Kai, Bloodaxe, and Jimmy were especially good characters in this. They did a lot of the heavy lifting in the film, especially Korra. I mean, then again, the story also really focused on her. Didn't focus on many other characters for longer than maybe 10-20 minutes. It's a shame, though, that we just don't get enough time with these characters. This is a very much a Seven Samurai inspired movie, in the sense that there's this character, they go along, they recruit a character on a planet, then they go to the next planet, recruit another character, and you repeat that until you get everybody. And the bad part about that is that you'll get this really cool character. They'll get their bit, their little 10 to 20 minutes, and then once they're part of the team, they kind of just disappear. You see them, they're part of the cast, but they don't really do much besides that. That's a shame, because these are some really cool characters, and a lot of them have really interesting backstories, and a lot of them could be movies in their own right. There's a guy who rides a giant Gryffindor. There's a non-Jedi Jedi. There's this war veteran turned alcoholic. Things like that. But the film tends to just focus on Cora, which is not bad. I think Cora is a fantastic character. She's a really good. Sofia Boutella does a really good job at playing her. The issue is it goes back to what I was saying earlier. They show a lot of her flashback and tell you a lot of her flashback, and then she'll even mention her flashback. So then it's way too much focus on her. I wouldn't mind that if they also focus on the other characters, but it is what it is. She's still a good character nonetheless, though. It's a very predictable film. At least this first part is. The Kai twist, I don't know how you don't not see that coming. I don't even know if I said that right, but the Kai twist is very predictable. From the get-go, he is this sketchy guy, and he sees them on this planet, and at this point in the story, they need a ship, and he just conveniently has a ship, and he just conveniently helps them gather other strong warriors. Yeah, come on. It was set up from the get-go. There was nothing surprising about that. But Hunnam was really good in the role, so I will say that. I will say that the visuals in this film are very good. Zack Snyder attempts to outdo himself. He goes far and beyond, and he succeeds mostly. If you know Zachy Boy, you know he likes to make his shots look cool. If you don't know what that means, well, you need to watch more Zack Snyder, and you will understand exactly what I mean. He likes his cool shots, his very edgy, dark, gritty, cool guy shots. Cool shots. Besides a very bad green screen and some wonky CGI at times, this is a cinematographer's dream gallery. There's a lot of attempts to try and do things that are visually interesting, visually different, especially through the use of VFX. And like I said, it mostly works. You've got some really cool shots like this, but then you have some not so cool shots like this. You see what I mean? It's just, yeah. And of course, like every Zack Snyder film, there's your slow motion, there's your lens flares, your intense panouts, the wazoo. You know what I'm saying? It's just a classic Zack Snyder film. And I think that kind of ties into my final point in the film, which is that if you don't like Zack Snyder, you're not going to like this film at all. This is the most Zack Snyder film out there. And if you do like Zack Snyder, I think you will enjoy it. Besides the really bad pacing, it's not a bad film. The story in itself is relatively simple. It just sucks that it's buried underneath so much exposition and such a long runtime that doesn't really need to be as long as it is. If they had just released the full movie as it was intended by Zack Snyder, I think it would have been a much easier viewing process for a lot of people. And the thing is, they are going to release that version. I just don't get why they didn't do it off the get-go. It would have made this so much better, so much of a better viewing experience. But it is what it is. Now we have part 1 and part 2, and sadly, part 2 isn't coming out for another couple months, so now we just have to wait in limbo. All in all, Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. God damn, that's a crazy name. Just think about that. Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. Why is there a child on fire? I don't know. Who is the child on fire? I still don't know. I don't even know, man. You can make an argument that there are various characters who are children on fire, and there's probably a child on fire that I didn't even see through in the film. But it is what it is. It's a decent to good watch. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it's the worst movie ever. I'm also not gonna tell you it's all that good. It's just kind of decent. It's all right. I kind of feel bad. I really wanted this film to be good. I think I'm gonna give it a second chance. I mean, obviously I'm gonna watch part 2, but I think I will give it another chance once they drop the full version, because they're probably gonna cut out a lot of the exposition and a lot of the fluff that I was bringing up. So we'll see if that's any better. I might make a video on that, depending on how different it is to these two parts. I think it's worth it though. You know, it's an experience. It's an attempt at Star Wars not set in Star Wars, and I appreciate it for that. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Like I said, it is a very Zack Snyder film. It is the most Zack Snyder that Zack Snyder has felt in a long Zack Snyder time. And if you don't like Zack Snyder, well, then you probably won't like this film. It just does all the classic tropes that he enjoys doing. And if you have seen it, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. And as per usual, thank you, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch me talk about Star Wars, but not Star Wars. Until next time, see you, Space Cowboys.